The market's down just a little bit this morning, probably because of Hewlett-Packard's big news, but there's other things going on in the market, not just the fiscal cliff, but we're going to talk about housing because we got some housing numbers. Now, if you look back over the last 3 months, well, they're not, all that impressive, but you back up a little bit further, look at it year over year, and they're actually quite impressive, and I'm here with Keith Bliss from Catone. So let's talk about this housing market because, it kind of gets put on the back burner quite a bit lately because we've had so many other things to talk about.
That's absolutely right. So when you're dealing with all the global macro issues and some of the other finer fiscal issues here in the U.S., it does get put on the back burner. But I've always been of the opinion that housing needs to be a front burner issue all the time. I had a very smart friend of mine who used to be an analyst at a hedge fund. He once made a statement to me that housing was the center of all economic activity in the U.S. And when you think about not only the actual construction industry, but all the peripheral industries that feed into that construction industry, he was absolutely correct on that. So the latest data that we're getting is, as you're pointing out, month to month, it's not real blowout. It doesn't make you sit back and take notice, but year over year, it's exceptional. And what we want to see in the housing data, which is what we're getting with both starts and permits, is that nice, smooth, upward trajectory of growth in the marketplace. So we're getting back to a healthy environment inside of that market today.
Right, when we're talking about these year-over-year numbers, single-family starts this year versus last year up 41%, 35%. Multifamily starts up 57%. The Northeast has been lagging a little bit, and sadly, I'd hate to say, but because of Sandy, I'm sure that number is going to change in the months ahead. Maybe 6 months out, we're going to start to see a lot more activity as people go back in and rebuild.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start to see that normalize over the months. And in fact, the Commerce Department reported today that any home that has to be rebuilt as a result of the storm will go in as a new home start. So that will add some froth to the numbers too. One of the reasons that the builders are now confident and you're getting more starts and permits is that we're finally clearing a lot of the inventory that was left over from distressed properties and foreclosures. The inventory to sales ratio in that segment of the marketplace is at a 6-year low. So a lot of that inventory has been cleared out. It allows home builders to go in and go ahead and permit these jobs and get these houses started. What's encouraging to note too is that for a couple of years there, it was mostly multifamily where you were seeing all the housing starts and the permits coming. Now we're getting single family home permits and starts, mostly in the West and the Midwest right now, but I'm sure the South and the Northeast will pick up as we get more into the building season next spring.
All right, and as Keith mentioned, that's not just your home builders, that's everybody else feeding into it. Of course, we've seen Home Depot and Lowe's go up this year. I would expect we'll start to see all the peripheral home companies going up as well. That's Keith Bliss from Catone, and I'm Deborah Borchardt with The Street.